Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Pointy Not Sharp. Today we're taking a look at the Guatemalan CETME C bayonet, or the CETME C export. Just as the name suggests, these were made to fit the CETME C export rifles made by Spain for Guatemala. And like the other CETME Cs, they're manufactured by the national business Santa Barbara Military Industry, and that factory is in Toledo, Spain. Now, in Guatemala, the Tecnologia Militar, I think that's how it's pronounced, ordered 5,000 of the rifles and bayonets in 1969 and a further 5,000 in 1973. So there is a total of 10,000 of these ever made, and they're quite difficult to come across. And this one is in absolutely fantastic condition. I'm very happy to have it. Now, a little bit of history. So Guatemala has a bit of a hodgepodge of a military. They've got a whole lot of different weapons. And from 1960 to through to 1996, they had a very, very bloody civil war. Their government was backed by the US, and it was against sort of like leftist rebels, if you will. And yeah, their military, they were supplied by everyone. They had stuff from everywhere. Like, they were using simultaneously AR-10s, AKMs, AK-74s, CAR-15s, which is pretty much an AR-15, Galils, M1 Grands, M16s, VZ-58s, you name it. These guys were pretty much using it. So that's why I'm a little surprised that they ordered the CETME C if they were using the stuff that was readily available, and they actually went out and had something purposely built for them. Considering how many of these you generally find in very good condition, I'm wondering if these were more of a less operational or more of a reserve unit, or maybe more of a guard unit or something like that, something where they're not seeing a terrible lot of action, because this one is in fantastic condition, and so are the 2 or 3 others I've ever come across. Now, Spain made these in 1969, 1973. However, their relationship didn't go much further, because in 1980, Spain broke off pretty much all relations with Guatemala over an incident they had in their embassy. A bunch of rebels took control of the embassy, and they weren't out to shed any blood. They were just trying to make a point, and essentially the Spanish police kicked in the door and killed pretty much everyone except the Spanish, what do you call him, the guy in charge of the embassy. It's embarrassing, my brain's gone completely blank. That bloke, anyway. He wasn't very, very happy with what he saw, and neither was the Spanish government. A lot of Spanish citizens were killed, and the Guatemalan police actually tried to burn down the embassy to dispose of all the evidence. So yeah, Spain broke off all contact, and there were definitely no more contracts for anything nice like this for Guatemala after that. All that aside, I'll jump into the construction. First, I'll go through the actual construction, how it looks, and then the differences between this and the traditional CETME C. So, you'll note it's very, very dark. It's got a very dark parkerized finish to it. It's got a fuller, and sort of like a bolo style of blade, it's got that curve halfway down the blade, just like the regular CETME C. Flat-topped false edge, and then an unsharpened true edge. It's got a nice solid crossguard. And the grip is actually like a rubbery plastic. I'm not 100% certain what kind of material that is. And it's one solid piece that wraps around like a C, so you can still see the tang at the top, but not down the bottom. It's held in by 2 screws, which are too tight to ever remove. And then we've got our standard press button and oval-shaped mortise. Now, it's been said that when you press the button on these, they will actually spring off the rifle. I don't know how true that is, but that's something I've been told on more than one occasion now. So, what makes these different to the regular CETME Cs, first off, is the fuller. So, the Spanish version does not have a fuller, but this one has a circular fuller down both sides of the blade. Second is the finish. This is a really nice parkerized finish, where the CETME C is more of it's a very heavy dark blue. It could even be a different kind of parkerization. I don't know. It's a very different kind of finish to this. This is it's got that parkerized, like, powdery feel to it. Third off, we've got our grips. So these grips are smooth, whether the Spanish CETME Cs have that checkering on them. Then the pommel is angled. Now I can't remember what I meant by that, but hopefully I'm smart enough to chuck a comparison picture up. Then our mortise. So on the Spanish version it is rectangular, whether here we've got an oval mortise, if you can make that out. Now, the other differences are to the scabbard. I don't have a CETME C scabbard for comparison, but I do have a CETME L, and they use the same scabbard, so I can put them side by side to show you. So, first off, there's an obvious colour difference. The Guatemalan is black, this is green. That said though, some of the Spanish ones were also black, but I believe they're the ones for the navy. Next we have, on the Spanish ones, a hole for a thigh strap. You don't have that on the Guatemalan. And finally, you'll notice the frog is a different colour and material, whether this is kind of like a fine nylon-y canvas. It's really a much finer material. This is a lot cruder, a lot more woolly. And yeah, finally, the Spanish ones also have the American wire hanger as well as the belt loop, while the Guatemalan is only a belt loop. So that's the actual construction of the bayonet. The other differences are the markings. So on our left ricasso, we have our FN Toledo coat of arms, and on the right ricasso we have our Santa Barbara crest. It should be noted that the crest is actually upside down compared to the Spanish ones. The Spanish ones are printed the other way up. The main difference is the Guatemalan ones don't have a serial number, while the Spanish ones do, either starting with a prefix for Army or Navy. So that's this bayonet in a nutshell, really. There's not really anything else to say about it. They're really quite difficult to track down. I like it quite a lot. It's got that same heavy feel to it. I imagine it's probably just as impractical as the other one. I've heard they make fantastic camping knives. They're very utilitarian, quite heavy, although this is a fair bit lighter with that fuller. While I'm not a fan of the CETME C bayonet in general, I do like this one. It has a couple aspects which just make it a bit more aesthetically pleasing to me, really. I like the colour of the frog a bit more. I like the parkerization, that feels a bit nicer, and I like the addition of the fuller. The rest of the differences are either, you don't really notice them. I mean, the grip is, you know what, the grip doesn't feel too bad. It just feels like a composite grip. It's got a bit of a give to it, like you depress it a bit. It's a bit rubbery, I guess. But yeah, that's all I've really got to say about it. Finding any information on these is really quite difficult. There's not really fantastic information out there on the arms used by Guatemala. That said though, I'm sure there's probably a couple of guys out there with a lot more knowledge than me, so if you know something that I've missed or any mistakes I've made, feel free to comment below so we can all have a read. Thanks for watching.